Hi friends, before we start this episode, I just wanted to let you know that here in From Someone Who Gets It, we have raw, vulnerable conversations, and sometimes those conversations can trigger others. I want to let you know that in this season, we touch on suicide, infertility, PTSD, and everything in between. So if those are some subjects that are triggering to you, I just want to let you know that you're heard and you're seen and you're not alone. This podcast is for you, and I hope you join us. Hi everyone, welcome to From Someone Who Gets It, a podcast about life, mental health, and everything in between. I'm your host, Marcela, and this season I'll be sitting down with some of my favorite people having raw, vulnerable conversations about goals, dreams, life, and mental health. Every Monday you can find our episodes on the Cultura Talks channel, and I hope you join in. First thing that really caught my attention when we were talking was you talking about sisters, because I have two sisters. So that was like, so we talked about their signs and all of that. How was it growing up with three sisters who are older than you, is what you told me?
Yeah, so I think that it was like the best, not that I knew anything other than that. It's just that you really learn patience, right? Because like I think like growing up around women, it's a lot of different personalities, ups and downs, volatility, right? Like I have one sister who we basically grew up in the same house because we were so close in age, but the other two were a little bit older. So my sister Deldra showed me like Kanye for the first time. Right?
Wow.
Like, she was in college when Actual College Dropout came out. And she came home and was like, hey, there's this dude, I think that you're really going to like him. And I was a big NERD fan. And she was like, all right, we're going to go to this concert. And NERD, the two opening acts was Rihanna and Kanye West.
Wow.
Which is insane to even think about today. Can you hear me? Pull up closer? All right, cool. My bad, bro. You know, check. We're good? Yeah. So, no, I think I've learned a little bit from each one of them. A lot of patience though. A lot of patience. It just sucked because like I was never like the smartest or like the best looking or like the most athletic of any of them. They all were just absolute rock stars in their own rights. So I'm kind of happy that I kind of found my stride here. But growing up, it was like when my friends would be like, I got bullied by my older brother and I couldn't watch TV with the remote. I'm like, can you imagine that? Like with your older sister being like, we're watching Sailor Moon today. Like
we didn't, I don't like the word bully. Like, I don't feel like we bullied my little sister. I think that we made her who she is today.
Spoken like a true older sister.
Like,
spoken like a true are you the oldest?
I'm the middle child.
Oh, so you're 100% haze. 100% hazing.
Like, she is so funny. And I really think that's because of me and my older sister.
Do you think she's funny or she laughs through the pain? Those are two totally different things.
I think both. I think we all three do. No, but you know, the things that we used to do to her, like there was this trend going around on TikTok that was like older sister trauma, and it was like dumb stuff like, oh, my sister used to make me run to get her water, and I'm like, you guys, we wanted a dog when we were little so bad. Like so bad we wanted a dog, and my mom always said no. And my little sister one day just started acting like our dog.
There you go. Hey, you heard it first. Okay.
And we would make her be our dog.
Do we call PETA or Child Services?
And
which one?
My mom was so concerned.
Who do we direct this to?
Yeah. My mom was so concerned that she really thought about like, shit, do I get these girls a fucking dog? Because like I can't keep, the youngest one cannot be crawling around and barking anymore.
That's fair.
So like there's a lot of stories. My sister used to build like forts, and she would let me in and she wouldn't let my little sister in. But you know, I think the older we got, the more she's like, you guys can't tell me what to do anymore. And she's just natural. A badass. Like she's a badass, but I think you have to like, remember we were talking about school. I'm like, they break you to then build yourself
build you back up. I think like the thing about it is that siblings are your best friends that you don't pick. Oh my God. Right. So, growing up, it was tough because all three of them, obviously, they're all women. So they're all clicked up, a lot of shared experiences.
Right.
And it was not until maybe like senior year of high school, freshman year of college that like all of them kind of wrapped their arms around me and was like, hey, like this is what it was. But I think some of the times I've messed up in my life, they were holding me accountable. Like, you're better than this. Like I've said this before that I was the poster child Miami fuckboy. I was living that life 100 miles per hour. Like,
wow.
Hey, come to my table, or hey, let's go on a boat, or you know, here's my little sporty car. And I didn't really care about, you know, any of the repercussions. And like one of my sisters like pulled me aside and was like, I'm super disappointed in like the person you're trying to be right now, because that's not who we put our time and energy into making you this way. And like really helped change me for the better, I would think. But
sisters do I think just siblings in general do that. I only have 2 sisters, so I don't know the brother like side of it. But yeah, my sisters have changed me in a way that I'm just like, and it's crazy because the older you get, the more you realize it more and more. The other day I was at home and I'm like, oh my God. And which is such a crazy thought, but I was like, I'm never gonna wake up in the same household as them again. I literally started like hysterically crying and I'm like, bitch, you haven't lived in the same household for a while. But it's just like these random thoughts that come in that you're just like, you're born with these best friends who've known you like your whole life. No one knows you longer than your freaking siblings. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's special. People who don't have siblings, I feel bad. Eddie is an only child.
That's my brother though, so we all good, bro. You know what I mean? I won't let him do you like that, Eddie, bro. I won't let him do you like that, King. That's my dog.
Oh wow, looking out. Wow.
See, if I don't tell you about the hair now, I'm gonna get a text the day before the podcast comes out. It's like, you didn't tell me that my hair was like on my shoulder. I gotta be honest, that impersonation, top tier. Top tier.
No, I don't think it was.
I gotta be from my vantage point, the hand movement, the head movement. He even hit you with, y'all can't see it, but he hit her with the hair flip and everything, bro. That was, hey, you have my vote, bud. You got my vote.
Wow.
Yeah. Big love for that.
I feel attacked right now. This is what happens when you're the only woman in the building. Okay, we got into a second of like building up and breaking you. And you and I had different views on that. Before like we jump in, I want to talk a little bit. I went to an art school that they're not saying it, but their motto was, we're going to break you until you have to build yourself back up. And that's going to make you the actor and the person that you are. And I told you how I hated that process. And then you were like, oh, I don't mind it. So I kind of want to talk about that because I've actually never met someone that's like, I'm down with the breaking me until I got to build myself back up.
So I think it's, my perspective is a little bit different because both my parents were athletes in college. My sisters were athletes. Like, so the idea of getting broken down for something new to come in, right? So when you buy a house, right? Or buy anything, right? You want to make it your own. Okay. Right. So when I think of it as like getting broken down or anything, sometimes it has a negative connotation. But for me, it's like, in order for you to see the other side of this success, some part of you has to die.
Wow.
Some part of you has to. Whether you want to, people admit it or not, you're going to sacrifice something. So in my idea is when I was younger, you know, I was an athlete in college, and like the sacrifice and pushing yourself past what you thought your limits were was the expectation. So I think like in my household and my parents, effort was like the minimum expectation, right? Like you trying or your intent to try is not the goal. The intent is expectations, right? So like when you have to get broken down, I think the problem is most people don't socialize the why, right? Like if someone told you on the other side of all this pain, you're going to be the happiest person you ever were, then maybe it's a lot easier conversation. But to like tell someone you're going to get broken down and you don't really understand the why,
Right.
then it's like you're going to rebel, right? It's going to be like, all right, I'm shutting down. I don't want to hear this. And it's all about like how you say things. But for me, like when I chose to do music, I knew that was going to come with me not having a love life the way that like traditionally people my age do. I knew that was going to come with like dating being very difficult.
Right.
That like I'm going to have a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, right? And like balancing is going to be a very hard thing. But on the other side of it, I'm just going to be really happy. So I think like it's all about trying to push people past their limits to create new ones.
And I agree with you in that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
By the way,
with,
can I drink this on camera or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of our sponsors. Shout out to La Rubia.
What she said with the rolling of the R. Yeah.
If you like that, I can do your next commercial.
Cut the check.
Right.
We need that.
I agree at some level with that.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, in order to be at your greatness, you have to let go of things that are not serving you
Mm-hmm.
for your highest like power. But I think there's certain ways to do it. And I know that life doesn't work like that, right? I know that life comes at you and you have to like figure it out. So maybe that's one thing they were preparing us for. But I remember being so broken down in college that like I just didn't even believe in myself anymore and what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like this constructive, like, I need you to lose this because I need this, this, and this. Like how you explain it, we don't get the why. But they broke, and not everybody has this experience. It was just my experience, and I've had people who kind of had my same experience. They break you down to a point that you're just like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then either they see it or they don't. For me, I put myself in a position, I had to come back an extra semester to do my one-person show. And I said, you know what? I'm coming back and these people are going to like me, like, no matter what I do.
Yeah, I think that was where I was going to go with. I was like, let me shut up and listen, because like, I think that's why they do it. Because
Right.
if you, I just recently had this conversation with someone. I said, someone said to me that like, no one ever shows thanks for my efforts. I'm like, but progress is thankless, right? Like you're never going to get the pats on the backs on the way up that you think you deserve, right? So if you would still do it, right? Think about what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
You just said you hated it, you resented it. I can't believe they're breaking me down, right? On the opposite side of that, you found yourself.
Well,
right? You just said that.
No, I did. No, not.
You said these people are gonna like me. I'm gonna kill it.
No, they're gonna like me not because of the person they thought they were creating. Because the truth was, I was constantly told, if you want to work in this career, you need to change your last name. You need to change the way you speak. You're not going to make it. You can be a reality TV star, and that's as far as you're getting. That's what I received. Until one day I was like, you know what? That's not who I am. That's who you've painted me to be. I'm going to show you the actor that I'm going to be. But I don't think it was them that made me that. I think it was me realizing, oh, people don't understand my power and what I can bring to the table.
Big facts.
But I won't even say their name a lot of the times anymore, because I'm like, the only thing you gave me was like great, like character work. I know how to do amazing character work and imposter syndrome. Like, those were.
You ever think about it? If you gave peace to that, you would look at the experience a little different. If you said like, I'm getting peace to it.
Yeah.
It does not serve me. And I love that you said you're not putting names on it, right? Because like, it's not worth it. But I also think that hearing you talk about it, and this is why I'm harping on it, because I think like I'm listening to you And I'm like, damn, that was such a powerful 180 that you just did that like I don't even think you digested it. And here's why. You said you didn't like the experience, but you came out of it like knowing like you're doing this for you, not for the approval of anybody else. Right? That's so powerful because as you progress through life, as you progress through this career that no one has a success formula for, everyone's guessing.
Right.
Those teachers who taught you, they'd be like, oh, well, I think this, if it was so easy, they would be doing it themselves. Right.
Right.
So when I hear you, I'm like, I think the most powerful thing is like the ability to just say, I'm going to go do it. Right. And I say that because I've been working in corporate America. I've worked in Fortune 100 companies for 12 years. I went to the schools they told me to go to. I got the major they said to go to. I dated the girl that most people thought I should, right? And on the opposite side of that, I wasn't really happy. I had all the things, the cars, the money, all that stuff, right? And I think like once I realized that like this is just kind of who I am, and if you don't really enjoy it, that's okay for you, but I don't really want to be boxed in, right? So like on the opposite side of being creative, you know, I've had this conversation is like everyone's going to tell you that you're crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
100%.
Even yourself. You're going to tell yourself that you're crazy.
100%.
Because life could be easier on the other side. Right? Like if I were to look and do what y'all do, oh yeah, I could be easy. No problem. Because that's not fearless. Right? Now, and again, I want to be sensitive. I'm not saying like for the 9-to-5er with kids and wife, all that doesn't have its own struggles. Right. But like creating something from scratch, you know, all that stuff from an artistic standpoint in a super saturated field, that's super difficult, right?
I don't think that people, and I'm glad you kind of said that, because I think when you think like, oh, you're an actor, oh, you're a musician, oh, you do, like, it is hard as hell. And it's hard for many different reasons. It's hard because there's no
path.
Yeah, like you don't seasons can go really well and other seasons are just
really, really bad.
Right.
And all the while you're losing age, time, and beauty, right? Like,
and then just because I'm always gonna tie it in, there's the mental health of that. Because I do think that being a creative comes with having to deal with it doesn't even have to be the depression or the anxiety, but you're creative because you're letting it out. And you're letting what out? What is happening? So I feel like as a creative, but also as someone who works in the corporate world, how do you balance the mental health in both?
So what messes me up mostly is the person that I am and the person that I want to be never meeting.
Oh, wait. Can you say that? That was actually... Can you say that again?
It's almost like I write rhymes for a living, but
damn.
Yeah. So what messes me up is the person that I am and the person that I want to be never meeting.
Wow.
So you have everything you're dreaming of is theoretical until you do it.
Yeah.
So the hours that you spend at work, the equity you give to things that don't ever return to you, and like consistently thinking in the way that I look at it is like, my dad said this to me one time and I was like, damn, this is so crazy. He's like, when I was playing tennis, he goes, would you do it if it never loved you back? Would you give it your heart and soul if it never gave you a hug, never acknowledged your efforts, never once did anything? Would you wake up the same time knowing it's thankless? Would you go to sleep hungry? Would you do all that, right? To make sure that this is a thing. If you can answer that, and that's why I say the breaking down thing is really important.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even if you knew you never were going to get the claps, no one ever was going to approve, and you could still look yourself in the mirror, put your pants on and say, let's go get it.
Yeah.
And I think like for me with work, it's actually not that hard. Work in the music, it's not that hard.
Okay.
What's hard is family. What's hard is like dating. What's hard is all these different things.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've over the past like so it's only been about 3.5 years, but I've probably met close to love of my lives and knew that I could never do anything with them because I knew that I would never be able to meet her at her eye level.
Really?
Because with what time? With what amount of.
And you don't think that you would meet someone who understands the world that you come from? Because that happened to me. I was with someone for 8 years who just did not understand, like, why do you have to go to these things? Why do you have to stay late for rehearsal? Like, it was always a why and always a fight. And then I met Eddie.
Mm-hmm. Big
And
dog, yeah.
and it was like, hey, I'm in rehearsal until 10 o'clock. Okay, cool. Call me when you're out. Hey, I can't do this weekend because I have to do X, Y, and Z. Or like there was never, it was always an understanding. And I think the person that you're going to be with understands, like, oh, I'm with this person and this is their life. And either I accept it or I don't.
But see, you're looking at a different perspective because you're a woman, right? So on the other side, as being a guy, women typically don't date down, right? Typically they don't. Typically, in most scenarios, women want to be the centerpiece. They want to be given their place. They want to be championed with time, effort, and equity, right?
Okay.
Now, what I'm asking of a partner is typically given for people that are millionaires, that you can see it, your life is affected of it, you're comfortable, all that. So if I'm busy and you're riding around having the best time of your life, all right, cool, bro, go do your thing. That's not what this is. So to ask someone, and this quite literally happened recently where it was like, this girl was like, I liked you. And I was like, I know. And she's like, were you interested? And I was like, I was. And she's like, well, then why didn't we go on a date? And I said, I knew I couldn't. I knew and she specifically told me like she had some stuff going on previously with men not taking her serious and kind of doing all that stuff. So why would I bring baggage to this thing or add to your trauma? Right. And like where I always say in one of my songs, I said, I don't care if you have baggage as long as it's matching designer. Right. Like as long as we match. Right. Like
Okay.
it's not about you not having skeletons and me not having skeletons, but like if we put music on where those skeletons dance together. Right. Like,
right.
So for me, the hardest part is that like I have a song coming out called Feel Good that I actually shot here. Right.
Oh.
And the very first line is like, I'm the man, but right now I'm having doubts. Time to chase my dream. It is running out. The people that I love, we had a falling out. We threw dirt on my name, what they do for clout, right? Like, I don't know what what I'm doing, but like I look at all my friends, like they're having babies,
Right.
getting married, changing, doing all that stuff. And it's like,
do you think you need to change the way you look at it?
in what way?
And of like, oh, I can't be at that level, or I can't match them. Like, do you think if you automatically go in thinking it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like on a long enough timeline, you want to know that you're the main thing. Everyone does. You want to keep the main thing the main thing.
Right.
Would you engage in something knowing you'd always be the side chick to a dream?
I don't know, because the love of my life, and like everybody, like I love Eddie, like he is my soulmate, but the love of my life is acting.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that going in. And I know that the love of his life is the hospitality world, is what he does. And I think coming into that, we just add in each other's life.
Right.
But he, like, if I told him today, yo, I'm going to California and I want to go do this in California, he would be like, let's go. Let's do it. So I don't.
Because that's partnership, not servitude. But so you're with somebody that is a dreamer as well. How do you think it would feel? Okay. You meet someone.
Right.
Who's fearless, who dreams, who does not make excuses for themselves, is accountable. Now you have to have a mirror and to say if you're ready for it as well.
Right.
You've clearly found someone that can meet you at your eye level.
Yeah, but I also think that created, like we got up to that eye level. Like I think,
but the basis is the same. So
yeah.
like if you went to, okay, I'll put a different analogy for you. You speak Spanish, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I don't speak Spanish, but
Okay.
from what I've been told, you could go to DR. Spanish is a little different.
Yes.
But the basis is the same, right?
Right.
You go to Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Spain, wherever. It's a little bit different no matter which way you go.
Yeah.
But the basis is the same. So you can communicate and understand each other. You have two people that are dreamers that on the very foundational level have very similar characteristics of things that they want and how to go get it.
Right.
If I was speaking Spanish, if you went to Brazil right now and someone spoke Portuguese, would some of the words be similar to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be like, yeah, oh, okay. It's similar. It's not the same.
Right. But but that's what I'm saying of like, maybe you just haven't met that person that is like,
I 110% believe that I've had 5 relationships. I count them 5 girlfriends. And I think they all love the idea of me. I think they all liked versions of me, right? But when I wanted to just be myself, that was very different. So like dating and, even anything from like, I just was told that I'm like super busy, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, like I'm trying
to do it.
Like I don't, my whole thing is like with commitment, there's no negotiating, right? Like you don't bargain with yourself, right? Like this is kind of who you are going to be,
Carlos on here, he's a therapist, and he talked about like, it's not about negotiation, it's about collaboration. And that was a big thing.
So for me, I think it's like, also it's without even being deep, without even being super philosophical. It's expensive as hell, man, Miami, bro. So I'm about to like date a girl that I'm not really all that interested in and play the game for $150 dates when like the studio for me to go for 4 hours is $150.
Yeah, and you're just in a different season. And I think that your main focus is just you. And that's okay too.
I mean, like, love is wanting more for someone else than you want yourself. Right? Being so vulnerable that you're giving someone else the power to hurt you. Them knowing the best and worst parts about you and them being able to hurt you. Right?
Right.
I can't, like, historically, I've not been able to meet people at their eye level. Right? I want to, right? Like I've been kind of feeling like it's getting closer and closer to that, right? Specifically with someone I've been speaking with. And it's like, historically, it's like, okay, the mental anguish to know before it starts how it ends, right? Like I've seen this story, right? We take the cute pics, we have a great time, and then it's like, all right, well, I want kids, I want marriage, and it's like, I don't know how quickly we can kind of have that conversation, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like, that's what most of my music's about. Is like, if you only knew, one of my favorite lines I said last year, it was like, on a song coming out, Falling Apart. It's like, if you only knew the time that I spent, the circumstances I had to circumvent, so I vent. I tell myself, I promise this is it, because the only thing I ever do good is not quit.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't do a lot well in this life. I just try really hard. And like that mental torment is like crazy, because it's like, all right, well, I know I'm great at this, but how come they don't see it? Right? Like, how can I make this more digestible? How can I keep moving forward? And like, the greatest thing that I enjoy is just saying, smile through it and embrace the bad days. But that's why it comes back to what I said in the beginning. Would you do it if no one ever said you were good? No one gave you the validation. You never got on that front page. You never got on that big stage. You never got a chance to do those things. And every day I wake up, I say, yeah.
Yeah.
I say, yeah.
Like, it's an automatic.
It's never been a thing. Like yesterday was Thanksgiving. My sister had her first kid 2 years ago, my big dog Ace.
Aww.
And it's like, You ever hear the saying, you give birth to your siblings,
Yes.
right?
My mom says I'm gonna give birth to my older sister. Like that's what's gonna happen.
No,
like
that
for sure.
when I mean that's a real thing in my family.
No,
Like
yeah.
my oldest sister has two kids,
Okay.
right? My sister's a little more dark skinned, the one that I'm talking about, and then we're not. She's a couple shades darker than I am. My sister has two girls, one that looks identical to me with the little chinky eye, the whole nine, same complexion, everything. To the point we went to go pick them up from daycare when they were little kids. Well, you have to be on a list to get picked up.
Yeah.
I walk in, the homegirl looks at me and she's like, "You here for Kennedy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "All right, cool. You guys look just alike." My sister walks over, looks over. She's like, "Are you here for Taylor?" And they look, to the point they're baby pictures. If you put them together, you cannot tell the difference.
Oh my gosh.
My nephew is like my mom, like there's pictures that are identical.
Yeah.
Like this kid does things that like I'm just like, "Oh my God." Like this is me. Like it's the craziest thing. Like he wore like a little Oxford button up yesterday, like similar to what I had on, the sneakers, the whole nine, right? So I'm looking at him and I'm like, bro, I would do anything for this kid.
Aww.
Like anything, die, whatever. Like I'm ready to go for
That's
it.
how I am with my cousins.
And then that moment it hit me. I was like, I can't even imagine what this would be like if this was my kid. Like this was actually like, yes, he's my flesh and blood. But like if this actually was my child, like how I would feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the kid's like running around and he's a little bit slower to talk. He looks at me and he says my name as clear as I've ever. My sister's like, he hasn't even said mom yet, right? Hasn't even said mom, but he looks at me, said that. And I've been known to dance with my tongue out. Kids never see me dance. I look over, the kid's dancing, he has his tongue out.
No.
And I'm like, what the fuck is it? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And so like I'm driving home and I'm like, huh. Yeah, one kid might not be so bad. You know what I mean? Like, might not be so bad. And then I'm like, how are you gonna do that? And like my best friend who lives 3 doors down from me, he has a kid, and I'm like, him and his son, do some cool stuff, and like I see all my friends doing it, and it weighs very heavy on my heart because like girls I've dated, let's see, 5 maybe, not girlfriends, just people that like I've dated have found like the loves of their life like immediately after me.
Okay. Do you know that I used to call myself
Good
like
Luck
Good Luck Charlie?
Yeah.
That was like my thing before I met Eddie. I would start talking to someone, would last like not even 2 months. It would end. And then they would go off and find the literal love in their lives and get married. And I'm like, what the hell is happening to me? Like, to the point that I convinced myself, like, okay, girl, you're gonna be single your whole life. That's okay. Just like go with it. And every time you meet a guy, just know it's gonna end and then they're gonna find the love of their lives. Like, congratulations.
Yeah. I have an ex that I was like in head over heels for. Like I was obsessed with. And that's kind of like I always say this is like the start of my villain story. Because it's like her and I dated and I rapped in college. Like it's not like I didn't. And she was like, "You shouldn't rap and you should take life more serious." And my parents were like the same thing. And I was like, all right, cool. I guess like this is it.
Right.
Yo, she ended up having a daughter. And I looked and I was like, she followed me on Instagram. Then I looked at her page and I was like, oh my God, like her daughter looks like I could have been my daughter. Right?
No.
So I hit her up and I'm like, so
hey, is that my kid?
Yeah, like, and she's like, no, you're stupid. No way. And I was like, all right, cool, bro. But like the kid looked like it could be my kid. And I was just like, oh, okay, so you have a kid. And then I see all these like engagement rings coming out and all these like, everybody's kind of moving towards that. And I think like, am I a part of people's happy story or trauma? Am I a part of the process in which they had to heal themselves to find the loves of their life? Because I was such a bad person to them, or did things to them that like made them look within in like their own life choices.
Right.
Right. And then it like, that's the part that messed me up. That's where I was like, my sister and I had that icon. I was like, damn, am I a part of people's trauma? Like, am I that guy? Am I that guy? Because I'm a cute guy. I don't know if I'm that cute. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm not good looking to be out here, causing that much of baggage. And like, that's why I am the way that I am now, is because I walk so much more cautiously, and I try to say like, you have to be. And a lot of times when I date, I say, are you willing, able, and capable for kindness? Are you? Are you healed? Have you made peace with those demons? Have you made peace with the change that I can't change? Right? Like those are all tough real conversations. And like, if I meet people and they haven't done that work or they're not interested in doing it, I already know where it's going to go. Right? Because I'm super secure. I'm super chill. I'm super like me. I know what my boundaries are. So it's like, if I find people that are going to push past that, it's like,
And were you always like that, or did something happen that you were like, oh no, I'm creating boundaries and I'm never gonna let people step over that?
Two things. I was dating a girl named Connie, and her and I.
She's like, you're like, I'm gonna name her and everything.
Yeah. Like, so on my album Peace and Blessings, check, there's a song called Hit Me. So it's like what was it? Oh, so how then could I be mad at Madeline, Connie, or even Lex, whoever comes next? I'm so tired of begging for forgiveness via text. To my pops, I'm sorry. I finally get it now. It's hard to follow a lead if you can't follow your vows. Like, I don't have no problem name dropping. Like, I'm really like, I'm deep in the pocket there, right?
Wait, I wonder if your Lex is the same Lex that I know.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I was like, oh,
no. You're talking about makeup Lex?
Yeah, I love Lex. She's gonna be on the pod. I love Lex.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Lex, but
love
it's
her.
not that Lex. Huge fan of Lex. But
sorry, that was a new Lex that he dropped in the song.
No.
But if you thought it was, just believe it, because then it's cool. You have a song.
Yeah. So funny. Super small world. So like, like when I met y'all at the 305 thing,
yeah,
she like wrote me or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the first time we met at Lucy's 305 dinner, which was a dope dinner because I felt like a bunch of creators from from all different walks of creativity got to sit down and like really learn about each other. No, you didn't get invited.
Oh, so like real shit, it was like super limited type shit. Like,
yeah, and then so it was everybody from the best of each category. Wow. So best actor,
talk your
best
shit,
musician. No, it was always my spot.
Talk that shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fine. Vicky was there. Best director. Like it was like the best of the best, and she said it a bunch of that night. She's like, "This is the best of Miami." Don't be a hater, Robbie.
Yeah, it was that was a good night. Very, very good night. And honestly, it was one of those moments where it was like, man, without being like super tear jerky or whatever, but
it's okay. We cry here.
I you get told some things such a long time, you kind of believe it. Right? So like, so many people told me I was crazy. So many people told me that I was not going to win. So many people told me that like I wasn't going to be successful and I wasn't shit, and it just, you start to believe it.
Yep.
And so like, I created that album, Peace and Blessings, on the floor of my apartment. Like, one of my best friends, Lauren, he would come to my house and I would literally just have like 2 pillows on the floor, on a table. Let's keep getting it. Rewind the track. Let's rewind the track. Just writing every single day.
Yeah.
In these stories. And so I never thought anybody, like, my first album did like, I think like 15,000.
Okay.
Right? Which is like good, but over the course of a year, that's probably like my mom and like her church friends listening to it. Like it was like not a lot, right? Like not a lot, right? And I put my heart on that track, and my grandfather, you're getting something that nobody else has ever gotten. So my grandfather was a pastor in the church.
Okay.
And he was like my number one supporter, probably, of any. Like my parents just didn't really get it, right? Like they just didn't get it. My grandfather, when I was like growing up, he was like, "Hey, like you're special. You're gonna be great." You know what I mean? And like I would go. He was a pastor and super great with people, super personable, fly. Always had the suits and all that stuff. And like he told me one day, he's like, "Hey, like I want you to come up to Alabama." And I spent all my summers there, like every summer, because like he was just the absolute nicest to me. Like my parents, had a very dynamic relationship. They probably should have divorced a long time before they did. Like, so like when they divorced, they were both trying to like rebuild their lives,
Right.
And like my sisters really helped. He really helped, and he always would be like, my dad and I played the same sport. We got the same name, but he does things very different than I am. He's very like, like stoic, kind of like that dark, and mysterious, dark, tall, and mysterious type.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm Southern on personality, right? Like I'm way different. So we did a lot of things very different. And he didn't really get it, and my dad and I didn't talk like my whole freshman year of college because like we were just warring. You know what I mean? My grandfather calls me and tells me to come up, and when he met people, he would say peace and blessings. Hey, sister, how nice to see you now. Oh, peace and blessings now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Southern accent, all that. So he would say peace and blessings. And I was like, Granddaddy, like, why do you always say that? Right? He's like, I want people to know when they meet me, the first thing they know to talk about is peace and blessings, right? I saw him maybe 2 weeks, 14 days before he passed. And he asked me to come up, and I saw him. We had a really great conversation. I go back to school. My dad calls me and tells me that like he's not doing so well. He's in the hospital. I'm like, the fuck? I just saw him.
Yeah.
Go to the hospital. There's like tubes in his mouth, all that, and like he like looks at me. I just started growing facial hair, like literally just started growing facial hair, and he's like looks at me and he's like starts touching his face, touches my face or whatever, and I'm just like, holy shit, like I guess I'm growing up now, We left, and he was gone. And like one of my favorite tattoos I have, it says peace and blessings. So when I did the album, I wanted to know like I was gonna be good, and those girlfriends and exes that I, through my self discovery, was a terrible person to, I never was gonna get a chance to tell them I'm sorry. I was never going to be able to be like, hey man, like I get it, I fucked up, and I wrote a letter to some of them, no responses, got one from one, and I was like, I wish I'd never got the response. But I was like, all right, so how do I make peace with my soul, right? Like how do I make peace with the things that I can't change? And I did all of that from my room, broke and broken, and the album comes out on 10/10, and we debut underneath Drake, and we chart on the Apple charts for about a couple weeks.
Wow.
And we're creeping up on 1 million, and it's just kind of crazy, and radio and all this other stuff. And it's like all of this came from just because I sat down and decided to do it. So,
and that's the beauty of like art in every aspect. It's like I know that my best art, or my best, where I felt like I was at my best, came because I had no choice. And like recently I did a show 2 days before we opened. I fell backstage, basically broke my ankle. I tore all 3 ligaments in my ankle and my meniscus.
All right. Overachiever. Got it.
Yeah, it was great. And 2 days before opening. So then we had 4 days we pushed opening and we had 4 days to restage the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened, but something happened to my brain chemistry from that fall, and then having to like figure it out and give the show what it needed while being in a fucking walker and jumping on stage and all that stuff. It was Robbie's favorite show that he's ever seen in his life. And it did something to my brain chemistry as a person, but also as an actor. And it made me rely solely on my talent and nothing else, because I didn't give a fuck about how I looked on stage, because all I was worried about was making sure I was giving this character what she needed, because I already felt like I had a disadvantage of it. But because of that, now I feel like I'm so grounded as an actor and just like as a person in general. Those three, like, what is it? May, June, July. I still count with my hands. Sorry. June, July, August, September, October. 6 months are a blur. Robbie's laughing at me. It's a blur, but I've never been so grounded and so like, oh shit, I'm ready to conquer anything.
Well, you need those wins.
Yeah.
Like, man, I can't tell. Like, there's so many days where it's like, you question it.
Mm-hmm.
We're human. Like, you got to question it, right? And like, it's funny that you brought up Lex, right? And like, she is one of my favorite people, because like, when I talked about dating and kind of having that conversation, that, like, we totally had that conversation.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's so funny that you brought that up. But it's like you, and she's like super happy.
I know.
All that stuff, and it's like, huh. All right, cool. That's just something you got to digest, right? And I think like you need those wins. You need those moments where it's like, huh, all right, well, this person's happy, that person's happy. Like, are you good being in content, being happy, right? And so when I get DMs or messages or people being like, damn, bro, like you're getting better, or like, damn, bro, that was sick. Like, it's like, oh shit, all right, like I'm pretty good at this, you know?
Yeah. And whoever says that they don't need that, I feel like is lying a little bit.
Lying a little bit.
Like, it feels, every time I go into a rehearsal, I'm doing a new show right now, and
Talk that shit.
Lincoln Road Hustle, opening December. Previews are December 6th, but official opening is December 14th. Don't come to previews. December 14th through, I'm not going to be there. I'm actually taking engagement pictures, so I won't be there. But it doesn't matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go, my first day in a rehearsal room, I think I'm the worst person in that room. I think I'm the worst person in the room. I think I'm like, what the hell am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And then I do my shit and I see the reactions, or I can feel the energy, and I'm like, oh no, you're in this room because you belong in this room. If you didn't belong in this room, you would not be sitting at this table.
I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you think, where do you think that your teacher, your people's telling you that you couldn't do something, is now created your chip? Every beautiful person, when I mean beautiful person, I mean like people that are okay with the disaster and make pretty like moments out of it. That created your chip and made you who you are. Someone telling you couldn't do something or weren't capable of it. Now you never go into situations like, I got it. And now you're like putting your best foot forward. Because I gotta believe in some way that moment completely shaped how you now digest those interactions. Yeah, we just turned this into Dr. Phil, big dog. We didn't turn that into a bit Dr. Phil.
This is the thing.
Tell me.
Since from a young age, I always knew that this is as humble as I can sound, I always knew that I was great at what I did. Like, I knew that I can walk into the room and make people feel whatever I wanted them to feel. I don't think that I ever felt that where I went to school. And I think all that it really gave me was this imposter syndrome.
Imposter from what though?
And
because we're saying the same thing. Imposter from what?
I think it just imposter when it comes to my craft. Like I'm a confident like I have my moments, you know what I mean? But I walk into a room and I'm, confident of the room that I'm walking in. But when it comes to the acting world, I walk in and it takes me a second to be like, hey, you deserve to be here. Like, you're great at what you fucking do. Mm-hmm. Did I answer your question?
Politically you did, but
no, I'm not answering.
Hey, politically you did.
No, that's not a political answer at all. The political answer would have been like, yes, that school gave me everything that I needed, and they didn't.
But I'm saying the moment, not talking about the school. I'm saying like, and if it's no, it's no. I'm not trying to like beat a dead horse there. I'm just simply saying like for me, the best moment I had was like Peace and Blessings dropped. My ex that told me I should stop rapping and that this was a dumb idea was holy shit. Like this is really, really good. The vindication for being right. Like that's the part where I'm like, okay, well, the chip on my shoulder is absolutely, it could fit craters, planets into it, right? Like, I don't know if, here, I'll take one step back. People always say like to me growing up, they're like, oh, you're super confident, right? Like I try to be walking head high, let's go get it, right? But it's because I grew up in a place where like there wasn't a lot of congratulations. It wasn't a lot of you're doing good. It wasn't like you're great. I didn't get, that's not how our house was built.
Right.
It was, the expectation was greatness, right? Like both my parents are the smartest people on the planet. They're both went to Ivy League schools. They're both beautiful. They're both athletic and they have children all the same, right?
Right.
Me, I got some of them, not really, go Knowles. And I was a very much C's get degrees person. You know what I mean? I saw what you did there. Wink, wink. I was a C's get degrees person. That was like who I was. Not because of lack of effort, but like I just was never good at school.
Well,
right?
that was
like,
me. I have two sisters, both AP honor, like the smartest girls you'll know. And then there was me. I was in ESC. Anybody knows what ESC is? Shout out to you guys. Not the same as ESOL. No hate to ESOL, but we're not the same. So that was.
She's like, ain't that hey, all that gang shit is real life, bro. Not Esau, bro. On a gang, bro. Big dog. That's basically what you said as flipping your hair. It was like, hey, you can't sit with us, bruh. Your gas take on E. You got the wrong side of the street, E. You know what I mean? I feel you. Talk that shit.
So I feel that of like, I was always not the troubled kid, but I was just like, if I didn't like something, you were gonna know I didn't like it. If I just wasn't good at school, but I was great at other things. And my mom was really good at knowing like, okay, school's not her thing, performing's her thing. But if I didn't book a role, my mom was like, why didn't you book it? Like, what are you doing? Every time my mom sees a new movie, she's like, why didn't you get cast in this movie? I'm like, sorry, didn't get the audition memo. But I think it was life that created this like confidence and created
that's what I was going for too.
But it like, and not to make it like, not to not agree with you, but for me it wasn't a moment in school. I think it was just one day I was so tired of it, of like, I'm not this person that you're making me seem. I don't give a fuck if you like her or not, but I'm showing you who I really am. And if you don't like it, cool. And if you do, then awesome. I wish you would have liked her 4 years ago and not, 3 months before I graduate.
Mm-hmm. I think like if in Small Baby Rant, I just like when I think of when I saw the podcast and looked at it, and I looked at the guests, and I was like all about peeling back layers and trying to find it. I think I wanted that validation from so many people, and I just never got it, right? So I acquired things, right? And the things that I could control, I acquired people, I acquired, that sounds even worse than it really is, but like acquired people, acquired things, I acquired cars, the clothes, moments, all that, right? And nothing ever made me feel okay. Right? Like nothing, right? It was like I love the sport of it, but I never really liked it. This is probably the first thing that I like that no matter what, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I love going into places and knowing that I don't look the part. I love going into places and saying that I don't sound the part, right? Like I often get like it's funny because like do you know how Eddie and I met? Do you know that? Did he tell you this?
No.
Okay, so this is a perfect moment to show I don't look the part. I met Eddie when Grails opened because my friends and I are the culture.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, okay. Well, the former
when this
establishment,
restaurant.
Yeah, the former establishment in which he used to partake in, right? They knew us because our squad is the culture. Like we are sneaker culture.
Right.
He just knew me for that. And he just was like, damn, bro, like y'all are good. And we would come spend money all the time. Right. And never ask for a discount, just like blow bags, right? Because it was like quarantine and like they were the only place that was kind of open.
Yeah.
And he would always show love. So I remember going to him one day. I was like, hey, bro, I rap. And he's like, what? But I'm this person now. Like I'm the vintage Ralph, vintage everything.
Yeah.
I don't fit the look, I guess, of a Miami rapper. And he's like, nah, bro, you rap? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I want to do a show here, like whatever, right? Don't see him for 3 years, okay? Don't see him for 3 years until that night at Lucy Lowe's thing.
Oh, shit.
So he looks at me and he's like, oh, what's up, Greg? Right? And I was like, it's Tetris, but no big deal. You might die, but I can, you don't gotta do governments here, right? So he's like, and then Lucy cuts up and is like, yo, Tetris is like the next best thing in Miami. And he was like, dude, you really rap? And then we get on the phone and he's like, I heard the album. What the fuck? Right? Like you really, really, really rap. And that's like one of my favorite things about being who I am is that I ride in my own wave. Also, Eddie, I didn't mean to like drag you like that. Like you're a cultured person. You love rap too. Just want to make sure you know that. Even though it's kind of tough to talk to you since you're so tall, like you got to take a couple steps back. You know what I mean? Like he's so tall. Like
so tall.
He like says stuff to me. Like I was like, when I saw him at Junior's thing, I was like, hey bro.
It's honestly like, I don't know how he takes me seriously. Like when we're fighting, because like looking down at someone and I'm just like, looking up at him, like bitching at him. Like
I gotta be honest, you look like you'd swing on somebody though. Like you just give me the energy where it's like.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that because I would swing at.
It's total middle child thing because my middle sister will swing on somebody, bro.
I'm always ready. Like it's funny because not to talk about Wicked, but
we had a Wicked moment.
We had a Wicked moment.
In my Boston accent.
I've seen it 3 times. And I don't have beef with fictional characters. It's just not something that like I do. Nessa Rose. If you don't know who Nessa Rose is that the
Ariana Grande character?
No, that's Glinda. Nessa Rose is Elphaba's sister, right? And in The Wizard of Oz.
That was so great. You looked at me and were like, if you broke, just say that, bro. Like, that was kind of like what that was. Like, I feel you.
Yeah. Her name is Nessa Rose. Okay. And she's Elphaba's sister. And if you know that Wicked is like the fan fiction of like Wizard of Oz and like what happened before the Wizard of Oz type vibe. Did you know that?
Yes.
Did you know that, Robbie? Okay. So the Wicked.
One of us is willing to lie. Okay. For the sake of conversation. One of us.
For the sake
of conversation, I was willing to lie. Okay.
The Wicked Witch of the East. In Wicked is Nessa Rose, which is Elphaba's sister. Okay.
That's the black chick, right?
Yes.
Or the green chick?
The green chick.
The black chick playing a green chick.
Correct.
I love Colors of Friendship.
Cynthia.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And her sister's like in a wheelchair. It's this whole thing. But she never defends Elphaba.
You don't think that's kind of messed up? Even in an imaginary world, she's in a wheelchair. Like that's kind of messed up. No,
She isn't. Her character's in a wheelchair.
that seems messed up though. Like even in
it's
like
just the story. It's like she's tragically beautiful. Like it's this whole thing. You have to watch it to understand. But what I'm saying is, I have beef with Nessa Rose because she doesn't defend her sister. It like you have to see the movie. But that's what I'm talking about. Like I'm ready to like. I'll like throw someone off a mountain like for my sisters. So when I meet someone, I've never met her in real life, who doesn't defend like their pack, it's just crazy to me. You said I'm willing to like punch anybody out. That's what.
There's nothing about you that I've met and seen that I wouldn't have gotten that vibe. Like 110%, I was like, hey man, she's super nice, but she'll swing on a bit. Like that's how I got like 110%, 100%. I totally get it. I was never underestimating. I was like, First time we met, I was like, oh, she seems so nice. And then like we like kind of interfaced a couple times.
Did you really think I was nice, or you were like, oh, what a bitch?
No.
You can say the truth.
I'll tell you jokes never lies, right? Like and here's why I say it. Now, it's also that like you also like are the partner of somebody I know. So like you're not, I always think of it like this. If I met you and you were too nice to me the first time we met, as someone like you knew I knew your man, it would be like, I don't like her. Cause like boundaries, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, like you respect the boundaries. And as a guy, it's like, all right, well, you smiled, you were nice, you said hello, right? What am I expecting for you? And we're like, hey man, tell me your life story. No, that's not what that's for.
Yeah, no.
Right. So I think like the burden of it is like, I think people expect too much access to people way too soon. So it's like, hold up, like I have, and the boundaries that you create is how you navigate your life, right? Like this is how it makes my life easy to do. So like if you don't like it, no, whatever.
I like what you said, that people think they have access to you right away. And I think because people expect that, then that's when, oh, she's such a bitch. She's so like to herself. And it's not. It's just, it takes me a second to be like, who is this person? Where's your energy? Do I want to kind of bring you into my world?
Well, it's clear
and I'm not a
duality.
bitch about it. I'm just very like, nice to meet you, and I'm trying to warm up to you. And then when I've warmed up, then you get the fool me.
Well, I think it's because you have duality, right? It's very clear, like, and I think it's okay. So like, it's tough being a woman, period. But I think it's got to be even tougher to be a woman with talent, right? And that like people try to box you in, right? And I say that because like my mom, her whole entire life has just been absolute baddie season her whole life, right? Just absolutely from birth, best looking person in any room she goes into, right? Like she's absolute stunning. I've literally never seen her wear the same outfit twice. Like I'm not joking, my entire life.
Wow.
Never have I seen her wear the same outfit. She told me before going to college, she's like, you can't come back. I said, why? She says, I'm turning your room into a closet. Like this is like a real life.
Love it.
Like I'm not like, when I mean this is she is a professional. This is what she does.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. And she says to me all the time, she's like, the toughest thing is that people see me and I have to be more cautious because I can't let them play with me.
Right.
Like I can't let you play with me.
Yeah.
Right. And even if I wanted to, now I have to make you work a little harder because like I've got baggage. Right. And so the one thing that like I think is crazy is that when people are that great, nobody asks if you're okay. No one asks if you're like doing oh good. If people ask any of that, they just assume, right, that like because whether you're smart, good looking, or successful, those are the three things most people can't control themselves. Right. It's typically by some form of chance. Right. I didn't choose the baddie lifestyle myself, right? This face was given to me, right? It's tough. I know. I get it. It took about 2 hours for the cameras to adjust to like my face.
Yeah. That's
right?
what it
like,
was.
That was the delay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, it's tough because like technology hasn't sped up yet. Me and the old guys, you know, Steve Jobs, when he was alive, RIP, we try to work on it. You know, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, but it's like you try to always try to box you in, right? All joking aside, except that I am a baddie, but it's tough.
Yeah.
Right? It's 100% tough. So like I could see that. So like if people would consider you or say that you're standoffish, it's like, can everybody get into Harvard with an application? No, you can't. Right? So why would you pretend like that? So I have a lot of friends that I have this similar conversation with, right? And I said, stop hanging around people that try to make you dumb down yourself.
Amen.
If your best friend ain't riding for you, right? That's not your best friend.
Yep.
Right? And one of my really good friends, shout out my guy Jason West, super good looking guy, super fly, tall, the whole nine, right? And like we always laugh because we're like, the reason the squad's the squad is because we know he's always going to do his numbers. Girls are always going to come up to him.
Yeah.
Right? You're not in competition. Like,
no.
You're not in competition with nobody, right?
Yeah.
You find your people, aka your clientele, the people who you think are going to fit into your existence, and you'll be good. But I also think like, don't ever dumb yourself down, right? So like, if you feel even for a second that you should be standoffish, it's probably for a good reason.
Yeah.
Right? Like I did not pick up on that, not even in the slightest regard.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
But again, like I've been like seasoned to this, right? So like I'm not really like worried about it, right? Like okay, like I'm just like, oh, she's nice, you know, like that's cool, right? And I think like,
why are you laughing over there? Because you're super nice, Marcela.
To be fair, I did see you snap on him a little bit. Like
it's not
for like your benefit and for
okay.
You know what I mean? You did hit him with a double hair flip combo.
It's
like
not
it happened.
Snap. It's
I saw it.
The way we communicate.
Okay.
It is what it. There was someone in front, so he didn't answer the way he would answer. Okay.
Okay.
And Janessa can attest to that.
Okay. Hey, bud. I don't know a lot about you, but you're wearing a Ralphie shirt, and I like Ralphie shirts, so it's almost like you're a good guy automatically, man. Good guy. That's all I needed to know. That's all I need to know. I'm a simple guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Simple guy.
No, Robbie's a great guy. He really is.
But yeah, I didn't think that. I didn't think that at all. I'm curious. What was like your perspective before us meeting? Like, what am I different? Kind of spot on than what you perceived I was going to be? I'm curious.
Did you hear my stomach? Sorry, I haven't eaten.
Samesies.
I don't really assume people anymore. Like I don't make assumption of who a person is anymore. I knew of you because of what Eddie told me. I've seen you perform. You performed at Casa. I feel like if Lex fucks with you, you're at a good level because she doesn't fuck with everybody. So there were certain things that I was like, and it's not for anything. I would have been like, hey, I don't want you on the pod if I didn't like, you know, I knew that you would bring something, but I was interested to see if I was going to get all King or if I was going to get Greg or in between. And I think I've gotten a little bit. I think I got a little bit of Greg when you were talking about your grandfather. Do you find yourself kind of like, depending on who you're with, I have a certain hat on, and then who I'm not, I have my. No, it's just blended.
No, I think that was the reason I asked. I thought that was interesting because there's new duality to this.
Yeah.
Like I wake up and I'm both people are the one and the same. I think that's what makes the whole thing work, right? Is that like the hugs that I need is coming from Greg. The shut up bitch, you can do it comes from Tetrus, right? Like you need both, right? And I think when people ask, do I have to turn it on? Or I actually did an interview once and they're like, are you always this positive? Are you always this guy? And I'm like, I'm literally always like this.
Wow.
Right? So when I'm happy we jumped off the grandfather thing because I was about to get dark real quick. Real quick. I was like that. I had to change that one up real quick. The internet's not ready to see a bald black guy crying on your podcast, right? Like,
Welcome
it's just
to
not.
again
It's
from
just not
someone who
it.
gets it. If Robbie, if you don't cry, he doesn't put the episode out. So just so you know.
It's so we'll check it like this. My biggest issue that I run into is so many people have invested in me
Mm,
outside of music to become
Okay.
this person, right?
right.
And what if it doesn't work? And then I just spent the last forever years of my life losing out on the dates, the moments, right? And I think like my hardest thing to digest, it's the absolute hardest thing, is that the financial piece, right? Because like Miami is like I was high rise, Porsche, foreign, crazy watches,
Yeah.
all that, and I'm funding all this myself,
Mm.
right? And I think about it, I'm like, damn, bro, like. And my manager Manny, he's not here today, but he said to me when we met, he's like, "What are you willing to sacrifice?" And then I literally was like, showed him girlfriends, and I was like, we don't date anymore. Showed him my bank account. This is what it started at. At the time, go from Porsche, driving a 2002 Jeep Liberty that was given to me by my sister for $100. Changing apartments from high rise to not so high rise. Time, effort, everything. And I think like that's the part that fucks me up every day. Is like I've already seen what the other side of the fence looks like, right? And like, are you really as happy as you say? So I think I get that question quite often. Like, is this Greg or is this Tetris? And I was like, it's the same thing. It's no difference at all. I just live for those moments, right? And I think like, so you want another little gem that nobody else knows,
Sure.
right? We're coming out with an album
Mhm.
called Waste of Talent, right?
Okay.
And the premise of it is as harsh as it sounds. It's like, is my potential going to meet like the reality? Like, am I really as good as I think I am, or is this just like a what if story that never finishes, right?
Right.
Have I limited the excuses? Have I limited the distractions? Are you just going to be a waste of talent? And like, when I told my parents that I wanted to rap, they were like, oh, man, you had so much potential. What a waste of talent, right? And like that moment like is seared into my brain, like you cannot let this up, you know what I mean? And like I'm sure if Manny was here he would be like, cut the camera, because people aren't supposed to know about the title, but it's gonna be called Waste of Talent. And I think like it's my stress relief, just letting it go.
Yeah.
Right, like I feel really really good about it. And I think it's like my best attempt at being my best.
Yeah.
Because for a while I was like in a really dark place, just because every single person I interfaced with was like, oh, now I'm going to go live my life, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
now I'm going to go have the love of my life. I'm going to have houses and baby pictures and all that stuff. Like, it's like, well, shit, how do I, mitigate those risks? And Waste of Talent feels really, really like the accumulation of maybe who I am and who I want to be might not ever sit down for like a 10-course meal, but at least they'll get some flannies. You know what I mean? Like at least for this moment, we're gonna get some flannies. Definitely not on like a random day. Definitely Wing Wednesday for sure. Because we're balling on a
Wing
budget.
Wednesday.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like go ahead. You ain't even getting the expensive beer. Go ahead and get that Bud Light, big girl. You know what I mean? No strawberry lemonade, no refill. You get one. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like that's kind of what it is. But I said this to my manager today. It's crazy to even say this out loud, but like this is the happiest I think I've ever been.
Yeah.
And it like hit me the last couple weeks. I was like, damn, bro, like the life I slaved for, right? And asked for, this is exactly where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm super, super, super happy. and it's not forced. All right. Like,
Yeah.
could I have more money? Yeah.
Right.
Whatever. I still wake up, still a baddie, a little heavier some days than others, but still a baddie. You know what I mean? I got good friends, good family, and like I'm in love with this idea. I'm in love with this thing, and it's like the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And if like nothing comes of it, if nothing ever changes, I'm just really happy that I took the chance, at least on myself.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about mental health, the ups and downs and roller coasters of it, and the quicksand effect. Are you familiar with quicksand effect?
Quicksand used to be one of my biggest fears growing up.
But like the literal quicksand, or like the idea of quicksand?
Both.
Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So we're both lying to each other for the sake of conversation. Love it. Hey, love it. We're 1-1 here. We're 1-1. We're 1-1 here. Hey, do you know this person in Wicked? Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And you're like,
love that character.
So quicksand, just like it is, you don't know it's there, right? So you take a step and you're over your head. And no matter how hard you push to get out of it, you go, like, the harder you push, the more you're over your head, right? And the one thing you need is help, someone to reach their hand out. So we call the quicksand effect is like when you get over your head, when you're struggling, when you're upset, or better yet said, misery loves company. Get rid of the misery, find these dry spots, and just find people that like will bring the life into you. And while it's not been great, some moments, I mean, like I said, like my birthday was not that long ago, and my mom, we went to dinner at one of my favorite places, Fukia. And shout out to the homie Annie. Have you ever been there before?
I have.
Yeah, Annie and I are like, that's like the owner and I are like besties. Like I usually celebrate my birthday every year, and she said to me, she's like, damn, like usually my birthday parties are like 10, 12 people. We need like that back room,
Right.
all that. This year was 6 people or 4 people, right? And it's like the circle's gotten smaller, things have gotten a little different. And my mom said to me, she's like, yo, like, I'm really happy that you're this happy. Your life's not exactly what I thought it would have been by now, right? But I'm super, super, super happy.
Yeah. I think when you reach that point in life, it's so amazing of like you said, nothing comes from this.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay
Mm-hmm.
because I'm exactly where I should be or want to be at this moment, and I'm happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel that more than ever right now.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, it took me a second to step back because I was so overwhelmed with so many different things that I was doing to be like, wait, but a year ago, you asked for all these things and here they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a second, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like, I feel content right now. Like, I feel happy in all aspects. And I think because I'm happy with myself, I'm at my like highest power.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels really good.
It's been dope because I've watched almost all the episodes.
Thanks.
So like, I'm going to say this. It's like cool because I feel like you're at a disadvantage talking to me because I've heard so much of your story like from different pods. You know what I mean? So I'm sure it's a little bit of a disadvantage because it's like I've heard and listened and all that. But like the reason I was mostly excited was because you gave like insight in a vessel to subjects that most of the time men don't get to talk about.
Yeah.
Like you've made it okay to socialize those things.
Yeah.
Right. Like Junior and I have been like best friends for half of my life. Right. And like, I've not seen him that emotional. And then I was like, damn, bro, am I a bad friend? You know what I mean? Like I had to look inward.
Yeah.
And then it was like, have I been that vulnerable with him either? Or vulnerable with my friends to that level either. Right. And then it's like, you've given and provided like a safe space. That's why I was like, hey bro, when are we doing it? I want to talk.
No,
like, let's talk
it.
about it. You know what I mean? So I just think that like, if you ever have thought about it, whether or not the time or any of that's worth it, like this is one of the best social therapies that I've seen. And I hope like nothing but success happens for you. Right.
I appreciate it.
I think this is incredible and you're great. So I just want to make sure I said that.
And one of the main things when I started this pod was it would be easy to just talk about quote unquote girl stuff and what we go through, but I know that's just not how life works. And if I can be a space where everyone feels safe to talk about what they need to talk about, their experience, their journey and navigating through mental health, I want to be that space for people. I want to be able to be like, hey, no subject is too hard to talk about, or no subject is off limits. We can talk about whatever you want, and you have a safe space for that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I loved it. It's been great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the pod today.
No, absolutely. Is there any other questions you want to ask? Any more hard? Like, I'm ready for some like Dan Rather 60 Minutes, Barbara Walters. Let's dig in the bag right now. You know what I mean?
You're like, I'm
ready. You know what I mean?
I think for me, you're so open about mental health. When did you first realize you were struggling, or I'm trying not to use the word struggling, you were navigating through mental health and you were like, oh, okay, something's off and something's different?
All right. So it's two things. I think like me, like the dating, I think I just like, that was like one of the big moments for me where it was like, even if my mental health is good, I'm ruining everybody else's. Right? Like I was a bull in a china shop. Like, oh, you have peace, let me fuck it up. Right? Like, oh, you have a boyfriend that, or had an ex-boyfriend that took you for granted. Looks me too. Right? Like I'm about to be that same guy. Right? Like I was so much a part of the problem. I had like an awkward relationship with being honest. Right? Like I just lied to myself, lied to other people. Right? I think like I was comfortable just doing that.
Right.
Instead of letting people get close, I would just lie. Right? Like if there was a gap, just lie. And then it wasn't until I kind of skipped this, but I was dating Connie, and her and I put each other through the ringer. We really did, right? Like it was togetherness. Like we were both ain't shit to each other. I ran into her when I first started doing music again. And I was like, bro, like this has got to be it. Because we were such good friends. You know what I mean? Like that was the homie. And I was like, all right, Greg, we're going to make all the right changes to make sure this works. Right. And I realized that all of the baggage that I gave her, all of her trauma, the reasons she doesn't trust, all that stuff was my fault. So no matter what I was going to do, she wasn't going to see me for who I was. And I just said, I can't ever be in that position again. Right. Like, do you want to be happy or not? Do you want this life or not? Right. And like what way I've kind of taken that step and said, like, I had to look inward, and like, that one really hurt. Like that. I mean, of all the breakups, all of them hurt, but like that one really got me good. She got me good to the point where it was like, I know you're doing your best. You're a great guy, but all the shit that you did, here's karma. And like, if you listen to my records, I talk about 3 entities all the time: destiny, hope, and fate. Destiny is for everybody because everyone has a destiny. So the girl that you love or try to court the most, typically speaking, is unrequited, right? They won't reciprocate, but everybody loves her, right? So she's most aesthetically pleasing. You don't ever see the Instagram models and hoes have trouble finding dudes.
Right.
They never find that, right? But you know who does? The food and winer, right? The chick who's like, I'm getting dressed with my friends and we're gonna get wine, right? Nobody talks to me, right? It's because she's a different archetype. So what happens after you date someone toxic? You find someone super safe.
Yeah.
Right? You find someone super safe where you hope it works out. Your parents love them, your friends love them, everybody loves that person. But you can't understand why you don't. You don't know why you don't love that person. That person loves you. It's everything you thought you wanted out of a partner. Consistent, respectful, honest, trustworthy, right? But maybe they don't light you on fire, right? Maybe the sex isn't great, right? And you're trying to figure yourself out, like, why the hell does this not work?
Right.
You hope it works out. That's called hope. And fate is the person that you never thought that you'd ever end up with, and that you do. Whenever I talk to most people that are married, their wives or husbands aren't the most best looking people they've ever hooked up with. Almost never. It almost never is that way, right? It's the person that you didn't know that you needed in the moment. So who did I want to be? Did I want to be destiny that pushes you into hope, that pushes you into karma, right? Like, am I going to be a part of the problem or the solution? Right. And so like after seeing all of these people find their people and all that stuff, it kind of was like, you've got to look inward. Because if you say you're half as good as the person you think you are, it shouldn't be that difficult. And me writing raps helps. So I'm just a mental health basket case that happens to be good with words and write raps. That would be when people ask me like, what do you rap about? Is like finding yourself, your soul, and being possessive of it, and understanding that like you're gonna have to say sorry for some things that you can never say, like never change, right? So that would be when mental health started to kind of kick it in together. I'd never really thought about it prior. I think like me just wanting to just for once not ask for forgiveness to somebody's daughter for something I did for once. No, I'm sorry. No, it was not, no, I hated doing that anymore. I hated it. And then like, it just, was one of those things. And it was like, all right, I gotta be better. All right. So the biggest apology, cause they didn't listen, right? Those mom, dad, sisters, ex-girlfriends, nobody listened to my apology with words. So the best apology is change behavior. So that's kind of why I've decided to change and see the world a little bit differently, because I don't want to be a part of people's trauma, because I have my own to deal with. So I don't want to be putting that on somebody else's. Specifically, I don't date younger women. So it's like, if I know you got shit, I know you got trauma, and you're telling me and being vulnerable, like, I can't be a part of the next person that hurts you.
Yeah.
Right. So I try my best to be as honest as possible, but I always tell people, and my mom's like, you didn't bring nobody to Thanksgiving. I'm like, Mom, it was a lot easier to date as a piece of shit. I got to be honest. It was so much easier to date. Oh my God. It was so much easier to date when women didn't hold you to like standards, or like you didn't have to be like accountable or any of that. Like, hey, you said you do this. And then I was like, fuck, damn it. And then now like I have rules where I don't like to date girls that like don't, like they didn't go to school or don't have like a career or anything like that. And my sister said something, so I know we got to go soon, but like my sister said this like beautiful thing to me. She said, be careful who you date, because her mindset will raise your children.
Ooh.
Be careful who you date, because her mindset will raise your children. And I was like, I guess I probably got to start picking some better women. So I got to start picking some better women, like, you know what I mean? So it's been a year of growth, couple years of growth. And I will say, the moment I stopped being an asshole, stopped taking people for granted, stopped lying, stopped being all that other stuff, my beard started to connect. It's weird. I know it's super crazy. I could not grow facial hair, but the moment I stopped,
The universe was like, here you go.
Hey, here you go, buddy. I'm not Robbie over there, Mr. Grizzly, you know what I mean? Over there looking like Jason Momoa, you know what I mean? Like, I think puberty hit me a couple years ago. I'm waiting for my growth spurt. I know that it's coming. I know it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Santa's is gone, but I'm just happy that they finally like lowered the bar a little bit. Cause like if I'm on a date, I'm like, hey, what if I can't go on a ride? Like, are you really going to think I'm going to protect you? Like, that's not going to, it's just, how do we come back from that? You know
how do
what I
we
mean?
come back? Yeah.
Like, how do we come back from that? You know what I'm saying? Or like, if a girl, like, I know the growth spurt's coming, but like my one time, and this is funny and we'll end with this. I know you got to go, but this girl comes over to my house. She sleeps over at my house.
Okay.
And she's like, can I borrow a shirt? And I said, yeah, no worries. I'll get you one of the bigger ones, right? She puts the shirt on.
Uh-oh.
We're like the same size.
Oh, no.
And I was like, And she's like, do you have a bigger shirt? And I was like, we're literally like the same size. So like, I don't know, like, we're like the same size.
Yeah.
Right. So then I'm like, I talk my way out of it, but I'm like, damn, I'm sure she just like put in her group chat. I was like, damn, this guy's like a little guy. Like, this is like a short guy. This is like a short king. This is a little guy here. What am I doing here?
Short king.
Like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? Like, how did I end up in this moment? Right. So then I'm like, all right, Greg, no big deal. Next morning, she's like, I love cereal. And I said, yeah, cool, bro. I got plenty of cereal. And then at the time, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to put my cereal on the top shelf because then I have to tippy toe, right? Like, I have to tippy toe. Because, like, what if you came into the kitchen and you saw Eddie having to tippy toe for cereal?
Ick.
Ick. Big ick.
Sorry.
It's done.
Right away.
Right? It's done.
Right away.
Right? Big ick. It's like,
Yeah.
you
Sorry.
can struggle to do some things in life,
But not getting cereal.
Cereal's not one of them.
Absolutely not.
Right? So I'm like, Greg, you got to make a business choice here. Okay. I put the cereal at the bottom, like where you have like the pots and pans.
Yeah.
The one next to it is where I keep the cereal.
Ooh.
Right. So that way, if somebody comes over, they're like, where's the cereal? So she's like, where's your cereal? She's looking up and I'm like, it's down there. Right. And she was like, what's happening right now? Like, are you like really like, I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, I had to protect my peace, my mental health from not having this conversation. Did she ask me for a second date? No.
She was like, he puts his cereal in the
Puts
bottom
my
cabinet.
cereal in the bottom cabinet.
Serial killer.
It was a literal serial killer. Like, it was such a bad thing. And I'm like, you know what, bro? We got to make better choices. You know, got to make sure my mental health is better. Right. So now I've decided my dating radius has to be people who still can't touch the top shelf. Like, that's important. Right.
Right.
And that like won't make fun of me for a step stool. It's important. You know what I mean? You got to have like, God didn't bless me with everything.
Right.
Right. But the growth spurt's coming. So
just if you think about it hard enough, it will.
You saw Wicked? That's why you're saying this. That's it, right? Is there a part of Wicked where somebody has a growth spurt? Because I watch it.
Yeah.
Yes, we're 2-1. Lie to me. I love it. I love it.
But I want you to watch it.
So yeah, next time, like when I actually finally have like a home like a home warming party or whatever, don't ask me what the cereal is. You already know what it's gonna be.
I already know.
You already know it's gonna be right there.
What's your favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Hmm.
Whoa. Yes. What's your favorite cereal? If you say some shit like Special K, I'm going to toss all this shit over.
No. Honestly, I like, it depends on my mood, but
Okay.
I'm a huge Captain Crunch Berries girl.
You've seen some stuff, huh? You've seen some stuff.
You have no idea.
You've seen some stuff.
Yeah.
Everything I need to know about you
Was just in my cereal.
Just in your cereal choice.
Yeah.
How most women talk about zodiac signs is like, oh, what's your birthday?
That's me
You're
too.
a Libra. Ugh, Libras. I hate Libras or something.
My mom's
like that,
a
right?
Libra.
Or like y'all are difficult or something like that.
You are.
My delusion is 100% tied to when I ask people, what's your favorite cereal? Right? And Captain Crunch Berries tells me 110%, you've never waited in line, right? Because it's like, you've never waited in line for a club. Okay. Have you? Probably not. Okay, cool. That's number one.
Okay.
All right. Number one, main character energy. Okay. Because why is a cereal both healthy and fruity and sugary at the same time? Okay.
Okay.
That's a lot. Do you drink it with like almond milk or do you drink it with whole milk?
No, lactate free. Sorry.
Hey.
I grew up on it, so
Hey.
it's just like what I
Hey.
drink. Thank you for being on here today.
Thank you. Do I do rappers? Do I have to do like a sign off or something? Like, what do I like?
Oh, do you want to give me a little like with the title in it? Oh.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm not rapping. I'm just going to give you a little infomercial here, right?
I want you to look at that camera. Ready? Here we go. Here we go.
Hi, welcome. It's warm here. I'm King Tetrus. I am so happy to be a guest here from someone who gets it. If you don't get it, download it and you'll understand it. Come join the gang. Listen, laugh at the jokes, cry with the hard times, and overall, have a great time. Peace, blessings, all the above. And as usual, check. Peace.
Hey. Thank you. Thank you.